to another edition of Ask Michael Eline. This is where I teach people the law in an unorthodox manner by using examples that we see in the news, case law briefs, but it's all about exposing the Leviathan and its instrumentalities and taking back your rights. Know the law and mean to keep it well. Come here to learn from an expert to know your right. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. All right. So everybody, real quick here, let me just make my intros. We got BZ Watchdog. And so we did a show a couple days back about this so-called 21-foot rule, which really isn't even a rule. It's just a principle where if an attacker is charging you, it would give under the 1980s understanding of CQB tactics, would give an officer enough time to do 2 rounds double tap center mass. Now, but we know that that's not a rule. It's just a principle, and it's mentioned in a depublished Ninth Circuit case. So BZ Watchdog went ahead and did just an incredible amount of research to find out more about this so-called 21-foot rule. And he actually discovered that we have, you're not going to believe this, but a bunch of states are passing laws, bunch of crazy laws to make 14-foot rules, 25-foot rules, or whatever they might be, and including one in Florida. And so I think it's really, really important for you people to understand what's going on here. And I think that it might be a good idea for you to start changing tactics, like do these passive audits where we're using telescopic audio equipment and zoom lens type photography, or concealed cameras on your body, because they see you with the camera and all of a sudden they're chasing you with a tape measure. So I'm going to go ahead and let BZ sort of dictate this, and I'm going to control the slideshow. Everybody make sure to like and subscribe to BZ Watchdog. He's putting in a lot of effort to help me with this legal research, and it means a lot to me. And I really would like it if you guys could find a way to promote his channel to help him out. And of course, if you're ever in his part of Texas, need an Uber or whatever, to reach out to him so he can give you a ride off the books, of course, so he can make some more money. I didn't say that though.
Hey,
so
BZ, right now, if we go off the books, we might not be Uber. We may be cop watching or auditing. So just be careful.
All right. Copy that. So everybody say hi to BZ Watchdog. And I'm going to go ahead and sort of let him sort of narrate and tell me when to flip the screen. Go ahead, BZ.
All right, guys. So pardon my energy. I am exhausted. Been running myself a little thin here, guys. So we're going to cover, again, Operation Accountability. He doesn't have it up there, but we all know secretly that's what this goddamn thing is called. Lawyer reaction, auditor distance, law targets 1A auditors. That's what Operation Accountability is. A rule used by cops to see if a shooting was legal is now being adopted by states to hinder or prevent filming of police. So basically, it's that unsaid. You called it unpublished, right, Mike? Unpublished.
Right. So there was a depublished case in the Ninth Circuit that mentioned this so-called 21-foot rule. So it's not law. It's just a principle that a lot of shooters who are in an active shooter situation, in a knife wielding attack, or somebody's coming at you with a weapon. It basically is that rule says that it's not a rule, but it's a principle that if your attacker gets into the 21-foot danger zone, that would be a justified shooting if you shot him. That's really what that rule means, but it's been twisted by courts and prosecutors over the years to mean something completely different. And of course, look, I'm not going to doubt that there might be some officer safety issues, but the problem with these 21, 10-foot, whatever rules is you'll notice that the officer has to bring himself into the danger zone in order to measure. So let's say you're at 9 feet and there's a 10-foot rule, right? You're at 9 feet. The officer has to take their tape measure and walk towards you and put themselves into danger to make sure that you're at the correct distance. So in my opinion, it's a BS rule, and it's probably, if anything, would put an officer in more danger. And it also destroys the whole argument that the officer was ever in danger to begin with, because no officer in their right mind would walk towards a potential assailant to measure off the distance. And that's something that,
Mike, in the Supreme Court, don't they usually say a reasonable officer?
Right. Objectively reasonable. So yeah, the bottom line is the problem is it's the judges and the prosecutors. These are people who are academics. They've never been in the real world. They don't understand. Unfortunately, according to many, they don't have basic common sense and they're very emotionally driven. And a lot of people think that they just are looking for a promotion or to run for a higher office. So it's all about just getting those convictions and getting, throwing people and locking them up, no matter what. So BZ, I know some of these slides you don't like. We already know about this one. We know that.
Yeah, you can pass through this one.
Yeah, all the circuits have ruled that you have the right to film police. Now, this is one that BZ just found for me.
This is the one that Craig Henry. This is the one they got Craig Henry on.
Okay.
So if you notice, they don't call it obstruction. They don't call it, interference. They call it encroachment of an investigation. So when do we know that the investigation's been concluded? Once the person's in the back of the car and they're just sitting there jacking their jaws and just wasting time? I mean, how do we know what when the investigation is over? Again, it's another umbrella to basically lock somebody up like Craig Henry, who was like 21 feet only when the car was moved. Like, again, like you said, Mike, when they put themselves closer into danger to try to prove a point. But yeah, on this one here, the encroachment on investigation is basically saying that a person who knowingly or intentionally approaches with the, okay, so now basically this would be a good argument in court, Mike, because the person would have to knowingly or intentionally approach within the 25 feet and know that it's a law of a law enforcement officer. The law enforcement officer has ordered the person to stop. So basically, even if I got within the 25 feet, if I didn't know the rule, the cop didn't order me back, even though it may be a violation, it could be an argument if another officer shows up and tries to just slap some cuffs on you, wouldn't it?
Well, maybe, but let's talk a little bit more about this. First of all, you're presumed to know the law. So to say you didn't know about it isn't going to fly. But so this House Bill 1186, is this Hawaii? Is that
Indiana.
Okay, Indiana. Okay. So just so you guys know, this is not a federal law. This is a House bill. And I don't even know, has this been passed yet?
Yes, it has. It's in effect as of January 1st of 24.
Okay. So basically, this is an Indiana bill, and it requires that you be at 25 feet, or you could be arrested for resisting arrest, I guess, or obstructing, right? Obstructing or interfering.
Yeah, they call it encroachment, but we all know what that really means. It should be called enroachment.
All right. So tell me a little bit about Nicodemus. That reminds me of like a biblical name or something.
So this is a case that basically went and was challenging this last year in 23. It's Donald Nicodemus versus City of South Bend, Indiana. The ACLU of Indiana filed a lawsuit last year challenging the law on behalf of Donald Nicodemus, who runs a YouTube channel called Freedom to Film. By the way, go check out his channel, on which he posts videos of what he calls newsworthy activities, in their word, in and around South Bend where he lives. The ACLU argued the 2023 law, which was before the House passed it, HEA 1186, violated the First Amendment by giving police the unchecked authority, which they all act like they have now, to stop people from getting close enough to observe their actions, even if those people aren't interfering, and keyword aren't interfering with law enforcement. But Judge Damon Lakey, I don't even know how to say that last name, Likey, said police have a right to do their duties unimpeded, and any effect the buffer law has on the public's rights to record on-duty police is incidental and not unconstitutional. Well, what do you mean by doing their duties? What, robbing people on the side of the road?
Well, I get it, but no. So the state, there's a legitimate state interest. There's always a balancing test, and there's a legitimate state interest in protecting peace officers. The problem is when there is a situation where there are two rights and there's competing interests. And so instead, what these legislatures appear to be doing is adopting these hard and fast rules, which in a way is kind of good for the auditors, because right now officers can just randomly, arbitrarily decide that you were in their danger zone and arrest you. And the judges, like we saw at Chili's case, just go along with it, without even considering the constitutional implications, really. So at least now we have a hard and fast law. So you could use like a laser measuring device to make sure you're at the right range or whatever. But anyways,
But I got a question though.
Yeah.
From a counsel's opinion, not legal advice, but a
Yeah.
counsel's opinion. Like on Chili's video, we all know that if let's say something like this was in effect on 25 feet,
Yeah.
okay, would that be from where the officer was sitting in his patrol car for his safety, or would that be from where the vehicle of the stop was at?
Well, so that's a good question. And that's going to be another issue that's going to be subjective, unfortunately. I mean, obviously, if it's officer safety that they're talking about, in my opinion as a lawyer, I'm going to argue that it's distance from the actual officer. And if the officer tries to close the distance, that would give me a cue to back up so we can keep the distance. So if he's walking towards me, I should be walking back, which is exactly what Chili was doing. That's why the whole case to me was a total sham. But in this particular case, we see that there is a new law, and that at least one judge, Damon Lakety, has decided that any First Amendment violation is just incidental. Sorry, officer safety trumps your right to film in this case. So let's go to the next one, I guess. So tell me, so Craig actually was, okay, so now's the time to show this video, right?
Yeah.
All right, so guys,
we had Craig on here, and we showed this video for those who missed it. We're not going to play the whole video. We're just going to really kind of show you where how like he said, how the officer approached and basically would totally put his safety at risk just to try to prove a point and be a total Deuce Bigelow.
Yeah, super embarrassing for me, like being a Marine and all, and just think common sense, thinking about battle zones and all that. Like, why on earth would I like try to close the distance with a potential assailant so I could measure how far he is? It's petty. If I was on a jury, I would nullify that if they ever tried to bring charges against a.
Well, if you just kept aware of your surroundings at all times, you wouldn't have to worry about pulling out the tape measure.
Well, either way, there these arbitrary rules. Oh, it's got to be 25 feet or whatever. Now the guy literally has to put himself in the danger zone to get that violation on the record. That's crazy. So I'm going to play this.
I'm 25 feet away. Okay, and I'm going to tell you to do your job. Don't worry about me.
Oh, it's timestamped at 14 minutes, Mike.
Yeah. So I started it. Oh my gosh, sorry about that. I had it at 14, and then it went. So there's this tape measure.
No, that's after he moved the car 6 feet closer.
You are 21 feet.
You're like 2.
Show me where we are. Show me where we have to be. You are warned.
What a joke. I mean, honestly, I'd be embarrassed if I was a cop to pull that kind of a shenanigan. What a joke. Obviously, he's not a danger. Stupid.
If
I was on a jury, I would be like, you got to be kidding me.
Why did he put himself at arm lengths from that guy?
Ridiculous. Just tell me when to stop, Basil.
Oh, I mean, that's pretty much it, because at this point, the guy he gets in his car and leaves.
And then they went ahead and I guess they charged him by mail or something.
Well, what happened was Craig Hendry went down to the station the next day with his buddy and called the cop out and basically said, so where's this charge you're going to file? Or you da-da-da-da. And then they went ahead and after they showed up, charged them and sent them a nice little warrant or whatever.
All right. So basically, since the violation was allegedly committed in front of the officer apparently used his discretion to file charges later, which is crazy. But just to me, it has the smell of retaliation all over it.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways, the Toiler report, we went in this in our other video with Craig Hendry, but it's just a guy who was a famous cop, came up with this rule about 21 feet. You know, as long as you shoot your attacker within the 21 feet, you probably won't get hit with, you know, abuse, excessive force, or murder charges. That's all that really was. So, and we kind of see that's the Chile video before he started walking backwards, even though the officer said he only backed up a few inches. We know he backed up several feet. So we believe that the officer was disingenuous, and the court just went ahead and apparently ignored that. Let's see here. Now under the Fields decision, we know that you do have the right to record, and there's actually a stronger right to record public officials than any other right because of the public interest in holding public officials accountable. So it's really weird how we're going to square this with these new statutes that are coming down the road. Okay, so talk to me about the Florida rule, because you've done a lot of research on this, Basil. Tell the audience about the Florida rule.
Well, we sorry, hang on one second, guys. I'm sorry, this is my fault right here. I think this was hey, I've got hold on, guys. I might have. Can I have someone? Can I actually have a surprise guest?
Sure. I like surprise guests.
I don't want to tell you who it is. He's really big.
All right, that's fine. I just want to get this.
Yeah, it's the 14-foot rule that they passed in Florida that doesn't take effect till next year.
So on 1/1/25, this is going to become the law, and it's a 14-foot rule. So you can see that it's arbitrary across all the different states, but it looks like all the legislatures are moving in lockstep to sort of keep these auditors from being able to film their law enforcement officers. Now, I know I can't really tell you how I know, but I know that many municipalities are losing revenue because of these auditors. Because auditors have spotted unlawful activities. For example, police in places like, I don't know, Michigan, are small towns in Michigan, for example. Talk to Press with Rancor about this. Have basically they grew accustomed to pulling over out-of-towners to raise revenue, and they never would pull over locals, even though they're violating the same laws. So by guys like Press with Rancor showing up always at their little hidden spots where they like to give tickets to out-of-towners, they were forced to stop setting up those speed traps and whatnot, because he was catching them on film doing it, and he would have been able to establish possibly elements of Monell claim of a pattern and practice of violating people's civil rights. So naturally, those cities, those municipalities, they're losing money, and so they're pushing hard to go after these people as crazy people, as sovereign citizens. You know, oh my God, they support the First Amendment. They must be crazy. Holy crap. So that's kind of one of the things we're dealing with is all these new laws. And you can see here, this is similar to like California Penal Code Section 148, resisting, obstructing, or opposing by offering or doing violence. So it's another one of those, and you can't do it to a police dog either. One of those things where it's sort of a vague and ambiguous bill that gives a prosecutor or a judge a lot of leeway to lock someone up if they don't like their attitude, which that really is bothersome to me. We know the 21-foot rule per se was never law. It's basically it's from a depublished Ninth Circuit case. That's where a lot of courts and prosecutors get this idea from. And then the danger zone isn't a rule. It's just a principle of distance measurement. So, and it's all about being able to draw successfully and put 2 rounds on target before the assailant can get at you and stab you. So you can see that the camera's not a knife. So if a guy's got a camera, he's not a threat. So the whole point of that rule.
Well, that's because, Mike, that's because knives don't shoot. Chili's actually shooting at the cop right now. He's just shooting. Right. He's shooting B footage. So a knife or a bat constitutes a danger to the safety of an officer. So that's why it's sort of so petty and absurd. You know, when a guy's standing there with a camera and he's not a threat, and they try to use this 21-foot rule, even after the officer says, yeah, I knew the guy wasn't a threat. I just didn't, you know, he wouldn't stop filming. I mean, that's all you needed right there. So let's see here. The undisputed evidence in that depublished Ninth Circuit case is that the assailant was advancing at the officer. So it was okay for them to shoot him beyond the 21 feet without risking excessive force charges. That's what that was really about. And let's see here. We talked about prior restraint before.
We talked about Nevada rights, about asking for IDs. Talked about Chase already. So I think we pretty much covered everything on the slideshow. So
yep, I've got my secret. Sorry, I've been texting back and forth with my special guest. Probably
so
the
everybody, everybody,
on the life's toll. I can talk you through it. So that's what we want.
So everybody, just so you know, we're waiting for a surprise guest. I don't even know who it is, but we are going to do we are going to try to keep it to an hour or under today. I have a wedding I got to deal with this weekend and just a lot of craziness. We probably won't be doing any cast this weekend. I'll try to do something or an update, but probably won't be able to. I'm just waiting for the next guest to come on. And, well, by the way, give me a bunch of ones, everybody, if you miss Chili.
Actually, you know what? Let's play a better game. Who do you think the surprise guest is? Put the chat on. He is a YouTuber.
Oh, okay, yeah. Who do you guys think? He's an
auditor. He's an auditor that's been recently arrested.
Huh. Is it Chili? Did he get a secret cell phone?
That would be funny. No, this tuber has about 150,000 subscribers, so he's big.
That's cool.
And no, don't put Long Island Audit in there, guys. That guy won't reach back out to me. That guy's got too many fish to fry, I guess.
So it looks like we lost your image again, BZ.
No, it's because I keep bouncing back and forth between between my apps, bud. That's all.
That's cool.
Nobody's joined in yet on that back there.
Nothing yet, brother. I see BZ Watchdog and our 2 slideshows. So I'm just going to look over at the says, please everybody. Hold on, I'm going to read this. Please, everybody that cares about Chili, go look at NRS section 171.1233, recording of law enforcement activity evidence. Yeah, I mean, all that stuff is cool to know, but keep in mind that federal regulations and federal rules will not always trump state. If the state has stricter regulations, those will usually trump the federal. And in this case, there are constitutional questions that are going to need to be addressed at some point. And right now, this is all like brand new open law, so to speak. And one of the problems that people are complaining about is, well, for example, we have the Nevada judge on Chili's case. Apparently her husband is the president of the ACLU Nevada. So good luck, right? I mean, people don't even want to reach out to the ACLU Nevada for help in Chili's case because they just assume that the ACLU Nevada is now just an instrumentality of the state, and they don't want to piss off the judge, right? Because that's the judge's husband. So just think about that. That's pretty terrifying.
Has anybody jumped in that backstage yet?
Not yet, brother.
What is going on here?
All they got to do is click that link, and then I'll see him enter into the green room, and I'll be able to let him in. So shockproof. So that's Marbury versus Madison. All laws repugnant to the Constitution are null and void, and that is very true. But it's the courts that get to decide what's unconstitutional, not us. That's the problem. So let me see here. Nobody's in yet, buddy. I'm gonna put BZ on mute because it's got a lot of background noise going on there. But I will try and continue explaining to you what's going on. So over the last couple of days, we did Texas Gal audits. We covered her arrest at a post office where she didn't even receive a warning and was just arrested. And she was not creating any kind of problem. And it was at a post office. So it'll be interesting to see if the officers even had a contract with the post office to be enforcing the law there. These are non-federal officers that arrested her. When we covered Craig Hendry's arrest, you just saw the tape measure.
Hey, Mike, actually at this point, the post office doesn't have any contract with anybody in the Texas DFW area. So
that's crazy.
Now I did do some digging, by the way, guys. That same video that we saw of that sergeant that snatched up Texas Gal, I found that he's also being sued right now. Back in October, was filed for another First Amendment violation. Title 42, 1983. He's being sued for violating somebody's First Amendment by snatching a sign out of their hand.
Right. Yeah, and that would be a an actionable claim under Title 42, 1983. So just really quick, while we're waiting for your mystery guest, A. Fleas Gertra says,
Here, I got to mute. I'm going to go on the phone real quick.
yeah, says that the officer of the court has a duty to the court first. Hopefully you guys can hear me still. So I've never heard that, really. I mean, I remember when I was, fighting tickets back in the day when they had the whole sovereign citizen movement going on, that was something that was going around. But yeah, my duty, my duty as a lawyer is to my client first, not the court.
Hey,
But
Mike, we'll just continue if the surprise guest shows up on your end.
Oh, he's here. He's here.
He is? Okay.
Yeah. So can I introduce him now, or?
Hey guys, wait! I nobody's guessed who it is yet. I'm surprised, guys. But guess who it is? Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead and introduce yourself. I think we all know who you are, though.
What's up, guys? My name's Denver Metro Audits, or DMA, and just up here, just talk about, I guess, the arrest that happened. And I just actually found out about your channel, so.
Cool.
But I checked out a couple of your live streams before earlier today, so.
Sweet.
So thanks for having me up here.
Yeah, brother. So just so you know, I'm still kind of learning StreamYard. Chili kind of turned me on to all this stuff, and I wouldn't be doing these except for Chili and I were working. I was trying to help him become a lawyer, and then he got locked away there. And because all the people he was telling everybody on his channel about me, all these people are sending me emails, and somehow they got my cell phone, and it just got out of control. So I'm just going to do these live casts, and then Basil, being a Marine, he immediately, we just took to each other, and so he's been helping me with these. So I want everybody to please go out of your way to promote Basil's channel and share it with people, get subscribers for him, because he's doing this on his own time to try to help out. He's got a big heart. So anyways, yeah, I really do appreciate you coming on to our show, brother. And
by the way, for those who don't know who Denver Metro Audits is, man, I've watched a lot of his videos. Man, he is relentless. It's almost like Chili 3.0 with the way he comes at him, though. He doesn't come like a bull in a china shop, but he kind of ducks, dips, bobs, and weaves. And if you haven't subscribed to him already, go over there and subscribe. Check out his videos. I haven't had a chance to check out his membership levels and stuff, but you guys want to take a look at that and check out some of his videos. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and hand that back over to DMA and you, Mike, for
okay. So really quick, if I could get Let's OTVO to help me out. So Let's OTVO, everybody give him a hand as well. He's helping me moderate all the sidebar. I would really appreciate if Let's OTVO could go and find Denver Audits, right?
Denver Metro Audits.
Denver Metro Audits. If you can find Denver Metro Audits and put it in the sidebar along with BZ Watchdogs link, so people can click on it and add them. And then I'm going to go ahead and make the screen just with your face on it, and you can just go ahead and talk away, and I'll ask questions, or Basil will ask questions, if they come up, or the audience will ask questions.
Okay. Yeah. So I was recently, so I have this stuff with Sheridan Police Department. It's a small town. It's got about 6,000 people. I live pretty close to it. And this whole thing started with the speed trap van. So I heard just briefly before you guys talking about some kind of speed trap stuff. So I believe that speed trap stuff is just, where they sit there and take a picture of you if you're speeding and they mail you a ticket. It's completely immoral. It's a victimless crime. And I don't think people should speed, but I also don't think that people should be, have money stolen from them for not hurting anyone. And I don't think that even speed limits in existence in the first place actually prevent people from speeding. So anyways, I was protesting that, and I had Deborah Swenson, who was the operator. She got out of her van and started taking video footage of me. So I just went down to do a records request of the footage, and they just completely ignored me. They're super lawless over there. It's been almost 2 years since that happened. And me and Big Sis Regan Benson went over there several times, bunch of videos trying to get this records request, right? And they got tired of us making them look bad. I mean, they're making themselves look bad, but And so what they did is the city manager, we call him Cranberry, his name's Devin Granberry, drafted up a unconstitutional administrative order, which essentially bans the entire First Amendment in City Hall. And so me and 14 other people went over there to challenge that. We had official business. We were all doing records requests, and they arrested 5 of us. And so that's been kind of a big story. And essentially, I mean, there's plenty of case law that says that, we can record public officials in the course of their duties. And like Glick versus Cuniff is one specifically. And we don't really have any case law here in the 10th Circuit here in Colorado. So I'm trying to create some. So it's not mandatory. It's a persuasive case law that we're going off of. But
Right.
so essentially they can't stand me. And now they're looking for any reason to retaliate against me. And they've done it several times, but at this last time, Direct D was out here with Jim Freedom, and they're doing like a documentary on me, and we were doing some audits. We decided to do some cop watching, so we went out. It was Friday night, and we were, Direct D does the flashlight thing. I don't know if you've seen his videos, but he flashes a flashlight at people, and then they
Yes, I've seen those.
Vehicles
I've seen those.
pull them over. Yeah. So the thing is like, so here's the thing. My opinion on that. So people tell me all the time, oh, you're just baiting people. You're baiting people. And I've actually literally never baited someone. I can't imagine that just going into a public building and taking pictures or video footage could be construed as baiting. But this is actually the first time I've really baited someone, technically. But the thing is like, we'll own that baiting because a good police officer can't be baited, right? So it's still an employee conduct check, right? And they do it to us all the time, right? Flash there, and you'll see, if you can see the video, they're basically as prior restraint at that point, shining the flashlight right in Direct D and Jim Freedom's faces for like 5 minutes straight. But we were doing it in Denver all night, and they didn't like it, but they didn't pull us over and try to write us a ticket or arrest us. So we were basically on our way home. It's like 3 a.m, and we saw some Sheridan guys. So we were doing that. Same thing with Sheridan. Of course, they knew exactly who I was. They know my truck. So they pulled me over, and he was telling me that I'm obstructing. That's obstruction because they're trying to do traffic enforcement. So apparently by Direct D flashing that flashlight at the vehicle for like 2 seconds, I guess that's obstructing their ability to write tickets. So he asked for my ID, and I was trying to tell him, well, hey, you have to have, a crime, or I have to committed a traffic infraction. He kept saying obstruction. I said, well, can I get a supervisor? And he said, yeah, there's one on the way. And then, the supervisor didn't come pretty much right after that. He's just telling me to get out of the truck, trying to open my door and get out. And so I ended up getting out, and I probably could have, hindsight 2020, probably could have just stayed in there because he said he was going to get a warrant. I don't think a judge would have signed a warrant, but I got out of the vehicle and immediately arrested me. Did no investigation. So it's not possible. The flight came from the back seat of my truck. It's the biggest cab there is. There's no way I could reach, and it was on the passenger side. There's no way that I could physically do that while drive the vehicle. So he did literally no investigation. He didn't even care who did it. He just wanted to arrest me, to retaliate against me. So that they gave me obstruction of a police officer, obstruction of a government operation, failure to ID, which I actually didn't fail to ID. He asked for my ID one time, and I said, what crime do you suspect me of committing? And then he said obstruction. I said, can I get a supervisor? And that was it. He never asked for my ID one more time after that initial time. So I didn't actually refuse the ID. And then he also wrote me a ticket for no proof of insurance, even though I told him I had insurance, but he didn't even give me an opportunity to show him. He just wrote me the ticket for it anyways. And then they left me in the jail cell at Sheridan Police Department for 4 hours. And I found out they did it on I knew they did it on purpose, but I thought maybe they did it because, they want to torture me in there. But they also did it, now I'm finding out, because if I would have got to jail in a reasonable amount of time, the county jail, I would have been able to be on the docket that day for a bond hearing to possibly get a PR bond. So they did that on purpose to make me miss that. And then also probably to torture me. So that's it. We call them shameful Sheridan, and there's something else over there.
Okay. So I guess one of the points that I've been trying to make for the last couple of weeks is that we know that there was an illegal federal DOJ operation targeting people like you and me. Even if you support the First Amendment, you support the Second Amendment, you shopped at Dick's Sporting Goods, an FBI whistleblower came out. thank God we found out about this. And they basically were data mining through your banking system and your credit card data to find out if you support the First Amendment. They're trying to build political profiles on people, and they're targeting especially auditors and so-called sovereign citizens. They bunch them all together as potential domestic violent extremists. And
Yep.
we just saw with Operation Accountability, I think in San Bernardino or Riverside.
Riverside.
Yeah. So Operation Accountability was basically just a way to try to round up all these First Amendment troublemakers, saying that it makes things accountable. The government always has a habit of, putting these, the bill to save the babies, even though there's nothing in the bill about saving babies. They do stuff like that. Oh, you voted against the bill to save babies. And, they get all the estrogen levels up and people like get really worried about it. But at the end of the day, it's nonsense. It's semantics and game playing. And now we see massive amounts of arrests of these First Amendment auditors, as well as legislative enactments to come up with these arbitrary and capricious distance rules where you have to stay away. And before you came on, we just showed a video of a cop walking out the distance with his tape measure. And I had a question for you. Because you're somebody who might be on the jury. Well, I mean, everybody here. I mean, do you think it makes sense for a cop to walk towards someone who he's claiming could be a threat to him, so we can measure how far he is? Just put it in give me a bunch of ones if you think that's ridiculous. Also in the comments, but go ahead, talk to me, guys. What do you guys think?
Yeah, they're not actually scared for their safety. That's just something that they say. It's because that's something they're taught in the academy. That's their go-to, officer safety. Really, what it is that they literally think in their own minds that we're just there to antagonize or create a conflict. They don't understand. And that's all they think. They think that we just want to, for YouTube clout. The U.S. attorney, when I went to trial for my federal case, that's what he told the judge. He said, he's just here for YouTube clout and to make money. And it's like, dude, that's totally not true. I've took a gigantic pay cut to do this activism stuff full time. If that was the case, why would I do that? And YouTube clout, I mean, literally there's a small group of people that like me, but the vast majority of people, they can't stand me. I get death threats all the time, like almost on a daily basis. And I say probably about 80% of the people can't stand what we do. It's just that the brainwashing is thick, right? Maybe too much fluoride in the water, but yeah, they're not really scared for their safety. I mean, there's not one time been an auditor or cop watcher who has been violent with a police officer ever, or with anyone that I know of. So that's just something that they just use as an excuse.
Well, there is a National Institutes of Health report, which, the far left, NIH, WHO, trying to say that there were at least 3 or 4 violent attacks involving so-called sovereign citizens, which they think that First Amendment auditors are sovereign citizens, and they use that as a basis to try and go after guys like you. So
yeah, well,
it's kind of
really
dangerous.
They're the sovereign citizens, right? Because we're more law-abiding citizens, and they're the ones. I mean, what is it like it's like a 96%, I think, or actually it's a 98% conviction rate for citizens, and it's like a 96% acquittal rate for police officers. So they're the ones that get qualified immunity and get away with committing crimes, violent crimes, and they don't get held accountable. So.
Well, Denver, there isn't qualified immunity up there in your state, is there, in Colorado?
Well, a lot of people think that, and it's not really true. They have qualified immunity. It's just that the criteria is higher, right? So it's much easier to sue a police officer personally here in Colorado than it is other states. And there's a $25,000 cap per officer. So they still have qualified immunity. There's still certain criteria that has to be met, but yeah, you're definitely more likely a judge is definitely more likely to not grant qualified immunity here in Colorado.
Yeah. And just really quick, let me interject something. So basically the same exact thing that you guys are doing is precisely what CNN, MSNBC does when they go to an accident scene or paparazzi chasing people around town. But when it's somebody who directly is, potentially threatens the pensions or the job of highwaymen or police officers, I guess they call them, then those people get targeted, and all of a sudden it's about clicks. But the whole driving factor behind for-profit news media is in fact profit. And I don't know of any YouTubers that are making a lot of money. All right. Most YouTubers I know who have monetized channels barely make enough to cover their filming costs. And it's really a labor of love. So this whole thing about clicks and all that, Who cares if that's what it's for? You have a First Amendment right to do it. And these arbitrary and capricious laws seem to be targeting activity that's designed to hold government officials accountable, which is the highest expression of speech, by the way. So I just want people to understand that the highest expression of speech is holding public officials accountable. Yet it seems to be, since these are people who support the Constitution and question authority, and they're not reactionary thinkers, because a lot of them were probably homeschooled or had really good parents to debrief them after public school. See, public schools are reactionary. It's based on the Prussian military model. It was designed to create compliant, good soldiers, basically. You know, the Pavlov's dog, the bell rings, you go around, you march in formation back and forth, you do your thing, almost like being in prison. And that's the new normal. But it used to be classical education. Most of our founding fathers spoke 3 to 4 languages minimum, and people had classical education. They studied the work of Aquinas, they studied the work of Sir William Blackstone, and they were highly educated. They knew Greek, Latin, classics. Now they don't even teach us cursive, so there's no way that these young kids can even read our founding documents. So we don't even, anyway. So so I just wanted to kind of like lay that out there, and I wanted to get your impression of that.
Yeah. Well, public government ran schools aren't going to teach you how to oppose the government, right? So that's why they don't teach civics anymore. And that's probably a good argument why they don't teach cursive anymore. It's like a indoctrination system. And as far as, so here's what happens. Actually, if the government's list, they actually have criteria that could put you as a potential terrorist. And one of those, it's so broad. One of them is that you could have a Facebook account. One of them is if you quote the founding fathers, right? So that's how you can tell that this country has gotten so out of whack that now quoting the founders of this country means that you're a potential terrorist. I mean, that isn't a sign of pure corruption. I don't know what is, but it's basically to the point now where it's like it's too far gone. I mean, the activism that we're doing, I've come to the conclusion, especially in Colorado, because it's really bad, is it's not actually reversing the corruption. It's only slowing it down, right? It's just continuing. It's too big of a beast to fight. And like I said, we don't have enough people on our side. We need more people. I mean, we have enough. It's just we need more people to actually get out there and do it. You know what I mean? And we got to peacefully persuade everyone else of what we're doing, and that we're not trying to just antagonize or get a lawsuit and like the money. Like, there actually is some money to be made here. There's, some of these guys that are activists out here that are making 20, 30,000 a month on their AdSense account on YouTube, but I'm not one of them. But the clicks and views argument, I never understood that, because as the people say, oh, you're just here for clicks and views. It's like, well, that's definitely one of the reasons, right? Like, okay, I want people to click on my videos. I'm a YouTuber. I always thought, well, that would be like telling a McDonald's franchisee owner, you're just here to sell cheeseburgers, right? It's like, well,
why aren't they saying it to CNN or MSNBC when they're standing within inches of at a BLM riot where they're burning the cities down?
Actually, I got a little better for you, Mike, on analogy.
They're right next to cops.
What about live PD and cops, where they're sitting there filming them with the cops and everything? But guess what? Oh, they always cut away. They always edit to where they make the cops always look good. They never catch the bad stuff.
Right. Well, we know that like the regular for-profit media, they're all part of the great Leviathan. They're all buddies, and they all scratch each other's back. And that's why so many people complain, especially like in Nevada. The officers in Nevada, they get the casinos allow them into the employee lounges, so they get free lunches and stuff. They get to eat the employee food. If you're the officer of the month or whatever, apparently you get to stay at the finest penthouses in Nevada at these hotels, and and they also get all these jobs doing private security while they still get to wear their badge and stuff. So it's a pretty nice gig. And Chile came along and was threatening that. So that's another thing you guys have to understand. These are like little fiefdoms, and when somebody comes into town, like Ironton, it reminds me of that Clint Eastwood movie where they painted the town red. Man, I forgot the name, but it was a really great movie. It was like hung or something, and he comes back and he, anyways, really great movie. Put in the comments if you remember that Clint Eastwood movie where he paints the town red. But it reminds me of you guys coming into town, like you or Chile coming into town and trying to restore law and order
High
and
Plains
they don't
Drifter.
like High Plains Drifter. What a great movie. Yeah. So you guys are the High Plains Drifters, basically, and they don't like you. That's really
Well,
what it
they're
boils
already
down.
calling us grifters, according to the trolls. So
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if speaking of grifting, I actually did create a GoFundMe finally, but I have, maybe if a moderator wants to throw it in the chat, that'd be cool.
absolutely. Can you?
Shameless plug over here, but it's in my my about or in my community tab if someone wants to grab that. But I actually, I never did a fundraiser like that, but this is literally my 5th arrest, and so I'm dealing with tons of cases, and so it's really starting to get overwhelming. And that's kind of another thing too, is I don't like to back down. So I end up with the arrest, and I've preached that I think people should take the arrest. And you don't have to, like, if you're going to leave under threat of arrest, that's fine, as long as you follow through and you go and pay the $400 and you file the lawsuit. But a lot of people don't do that, and they'll just toss it up on YouTube, and then essentially then you are really not an activist. You're like what they're saying is for clicks and views. So but I have a hard time, letting another man, bully me out of something that I know that I have a right to do. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I posted it in the sidebar as well, and I'll also
Thanks.
add it to the description of the video. And I'd like it if we could have you come on again and just to help you do some fundraising and find out more about your case. Maybe have you show us the arrest. We're trying to do breakdowns of all these different arrests, especially when it comes to officers saying that the distance rules were violated. I find it ironic and hilarious that they're literally measuring off the distance and bringing themselves into the so-called zone of danger to prove that you violated officer safety. If I was a judge, I would just laugh the officer out of court because it's so absurd. I mean, wait a minute. How do you know he was that far? Well, I took my tape measure and walked up to him. It's like, yeah,
Right.
but you're claiming officer safety. So why on earth would you walk towards the suspect if you're in fear? If there's a safety issue, why would you go towards the safety issue? It just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Put in the comments if you guys think it makes sense.
I think the only distance rule there actually is another one now too. But Arizona had the 8-foot one that DirectD created, and then there was another one that's like a 25 feet one. I don't remember what state it's in.
Indiana.
Indiana, yeah, because Big Man Audits is over there, and
it's because of Craig Hendry.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it? Yeah, CH and Ty.
And then Florida just passed the 14-foot rule, but that doesn't take effect till the first of the year.
And I would never. I don't think I've ever gotten closer than 8 feet or 14 feet. Anyways, I stay. I like to get in there because here's the thing: when we're holding our government accountable, or if we're documenting matters of public interest when it comes to the government, we have to be close enough to see what's going on and to hear what's going on, right? And so as long as you're not obstructing, right? So the obstruction law is different in every state, but in most states you have to use physical force, threaten to use physical force, or an obstacle. So if I'm not blocking, if you're not walking around me or anything like that, that's not obstruction. I have to be close enough to get what's going on. And they're just, I think it's really, like I said, they can't stand it. They know that they've been looking bad, ever since everyone has cameras on their phones now and stuff.
Losing a lot of money. Municipalities are losing money because people are catching them, with their little honey traps, and they're getting caught, violating the Monell law, Title 42 and civil rights stuff, not offering drivers equal protection, always trying to pull over the out-of-towners so the local voters, don't hate the local cops. And, like the Dukes of Hazzard. And, these guys like Press with Rancor go over there and expose it. And what do? They come after him. And it reminds me so much of, communist China, or what happened in the Soviet Union, the way they treated their people. And anybody who goes against the system is treated as a crazy person. And we see that with these FBI agents coming to people's houses because they typed in FJB on Twitter or something. And now the whole squad of FBI guys shows up trying to catch them in a lie, so they can put the cuffs on them. So, by the way, if anybody wants to talk about that, I did a video on that earlier today about how the FBI sending people to people's homes to question them about their social media posts. And so it's so much like, Nazi Germany, or even after that, East Germany with that whole Stasi thing. But talk to me, man. Keep telling me more about your case and about how we can find you when you do live casts, if you ever do like live casts when you do these things, so my viewers can tune in and watch you, man.
Yeah, I don't really. I do live streams sometimes. I don't have like a schedule. It's usually like I did one right after the arrest. I usually do them right after an arrest, or if I have a story that I'm showcasing, I'll do live streams like on StreamYards. But um, I I have right now I have a bunch of videos that I have one that I'm dropping tomorrow in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then I have like 4 or 5 more videos that I did with Direct D and Jim Freedom. I got to echo.
Yeah, I just turned his
Um,
mic off.
oh,
I
okay.
think, yeah, I
So
think he was.
yeah, just
Yep.
be on the lookout for those. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm also on Facebook too, if you want to follow me on Facebook. And there's a couple of Denver Metro Audits Facebooks, but the one that's mine that's active is it's in my about section and the description of every video. So check me out there too. You'll see it first there. I drop the videos on Facebook before YouTube.
Do me a favor if you can. Send those all to Basil, and he'll forward them to me, and I'll paste them all into the description of the video.
Okay. Yeah, no
So
problem.
make it easier for you.
No
And
problem.
with that being said, I don't really have much more to talk about. Basil and I are fried. So if you don't have anything else to talk about, I just want to look at some of the questions in the sidebar to see if anybody's got questions for you. Okay. Just see what's
Okay.
going on.
And subscribe to Jim Freedom and Direct D also. If you guys haven't subscribed to them, I mean, most of you guys are probably subscribed to Direct D, but Jim Freedom's great too. He's actually, if you know Adam Kokesh, he's Adam Kokesh's former producer. So
Very cool.
he's part of the Libertarian Party because he believes in freedom with no strings attached.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I'm all about that freedom. So as you guys all know, like Basil and I were Marines, and we're pretty strong freedom fighters. We really took that oath seriously, and
Yeah.
we still consider ourselves to be in. You never really get out. You're always
Right.
still. That's the way we
Right.
think about it.
Yeah,
So,
and it's refreshing to have people that are honoring their oath, because there's a lot of military who they don't. And that's another thing too, real quick. I know we're trying to get out of here, but
yeah,
is that these like the police, city council members, and military, they all swear an oath to the Constitution, but
yep,
there's no actual training on the Constitution, right? So like
right,
doctors and lawyers, they can't get their license unless they prove they know what they're doing.
yeah,
So, and if they commit malpractice, they lose their license. But what happens when a government official does that? Nothing. They either get qualified immunity, like
yeah,
nothing happens to them. So how can you swear an oath to a document and you don't even know what it is? I mean, as you guys know, the majority of police officers, they literally don't even know the 5 freedoms in the First Amendment, let alone the Bill of Rights or the entire Constitution, right? So that's an
just
issue
like,
too. There needs to be more training.
well, it's interesting that you'd mentioned that. The Americans who become legalized citizens know more about our Constitution
Yeah.
and the pride of being an American than our brainwashed public school kids. And of course, 22 million illegals that Biden allowed to just walk across the border. They're basically getting free everything, and they're going to alter all of the representation with the census. They don't even have to vote. I mean,
Yeah.
they're going to pick up, all Biden's people are going to pick up what, 20 or 30 new electors. I mean, you say goodbye to the Second Amendment. All these illegals who don't even vote, they're about as educated as a lot of these law enforcement officers when it comes to understanding the Constitution, and it just doesn't make any sense. It just seems like bizarro world to me.
Hey, Mike,
Absolutely.
just real quick. Everybody thinks in the military that you have qualified immunity or protect. We have higher standards. Not only can we be tried in a military court, but also in a
Yeah.
civilian court.
Yeah, we
the
get double
military
whammy.
guys we swear the same oath the cops do. Problem is, we don't have that protection to hide behind that, and I think we take our oath a little bit more serious for
Definitely.
the true freedom fighters.
Definitely.
Can I do one more plug?
Absolutely.
Since
Yeah,
you guys are
absolutely.
both Marines, I think this is relevant, and you guys should read this book too. But I was talking about Adam Kokesh, and he's got a pretty big YouTube channel. Actually, he probably already have over 1 million subscribers, but he kind of got suppressed by YouTube. But he was a Marine, and he was in Fallujah in 2004 in the first battle, and he wrote this book. Part of this book while he was in jail for racking a shotgun on Freedom Plaza, because he believes the Second Amendment should apply all the way to the front steps of the White House.
Right.
So this book is really what got me into activism. He's not an auditor. He's just a civil liberties activist, and he sometimes does audits because he just kind of falls into them trying to do street interviews and stuff.
Right.
But this is a mind blowing book. It's a life changing book even. And I think that given the fact that you guys are Marines or were Marines, that you would be interested in this. And to anyone who wants to read this, it might challenge your beliefs a little bit, but given the fact that you guys are part of the 1A community, I know you guys have an open mind, right? So I think that this is free. You can, it's free on every digital format, and you can actually find it on his YouTube channel for free as well. So.
All right. So it doesn't really look like there's a lot of questions or anything, and hopefully we can get this thing over. So I would like to have you back on, and I'm inviting you to email Basil with all the information so I can paste it into the description. And with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe, make sure to save, because you never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. You know, they're going to eventually try to take it down, or they're going to try to, what do they do that where they slow walk things? You know, they shadow ban and all that stuff. So, you know, that's probably going to happen at some point. So just make sure to support the channel, because I'm trying to put out information that's going to help you avoid getting arrested or thrown in jail. And that's my primary goal, is to get you home. It's auditor safety instead of officer safety. That's Basil's thing, auditor safety. So make sure to like and subscribe, make sure to save. And with that being said, Semper Fidelis, and I'm signing off. And we are done. All right. So we're